Hey guys, Easy Money here with My Imprisoned Emotions. Welcome to the first video. I'm glad you guys have joined me. Today's video is going to be more or less going through a lot of what this is going to be going over. A lot of it's going to include mainly just a little bit of tidbits about what I like about the song, what drew the song to me. A lot of it's going to be a lot of commentary. There's going to be a bit of commentary about the band itself, a little bit of back history about the band, some like general information like top 10s, number ones, stuff of that nature, how many albums, when they started, where they may have got their start at, if it's something that's a little bit important to me as well. By all means, also, by the way, have a beverage, guys. I've got coffee here right now. I know it's a little bit late to be drinking coffee, but you know, I got to switch to nights. So it is what it is. I got to drink some coffee because I got to stay up. So with that being said, I do have a few things that I want to kind of show you guys a little bit here. So once I got this sort of bug put into my ear, I've been going through a bit of paperwork here on ideas about this whole thing. And the whole reason why I started to want to do this is just because I want to kind of record everything down that I'm doing over the next year. Reason why is, so over my time of playing, which is, well, let's see, I started whenever I was about 10, 11, stopped when I was 19, 20. So there's about 10 years. I picked back up about 7 to 8 years ago. So I've got about 17 to 18 years total playing time, roughly. I might as well just go ahead and round up to 20 roughly, because I'm sure there's a little bit of extra time in there that I'm missing, that I'm actually subtracting from myself. So the biggest thing that I'm trying to do over this next year is, for one, I have never had a practice plan of any sort. I've never had any exercises that I would run through constantly. I never had any routines that I would use to warm up or practice or anything to help advance my skill level. I've always just kind of done things as I needed to learn a song that I wanted to learn. So I would learn different picking styles just to learn that one song, but I would never follow through with it. Well, this year is the year that I actually start sticking to things, because I do actually really enjoy playing. I feel like the first time I played, so I'm going to separate my playing time into 2 times. My first time playing and then my current playing. So my first time playing, I feel like I was good, I was fast, but I had no idea what I was playing. I didn't know what notes I was playing. I had no idea what key I was in, what BPM we were doing, what, you know, the time signature may have been, or any of that. I just knew I wanted to play the song. So I would learn the song, I would play the song, and if it wasn't note for note from the tabs that I would pull up, I would never even care to learn it. It would go into the pile of, I'm never going to learn that now because it ain't right. I don't care to. I feel like if I have the talent, so to speak, that I shouldn't have to be able to practice or do all of that. At least that had been put into my head from an early age, at least from how I was talked to. Maybe that's not necessarily the message that they were trying to convey, but that is how the message was received because of their tone and the way they kind of spoke to me and did this, that, and the other. So I felt like if I had the talent, I wouldn't have to go look for this so hard, that I should be able to just get it. So I'm just not meant to be that good, right? So fast forward to whenever I joined the Marine Corps, I was a part of like one band in high school. I think we did one show. There was a couple other bands I was trying to get into. Just never had anything happen. I did one song one night with my cousin's band right before I left for boot camp. If any of you guys remember that band by chance, the band's name was Dissonance. If you're from the Southern Illinois, Southeast Missouri area, then you would probably know who that might be if you were around the scene late 90s, early 2000s, roughly. So that's sort of my before. I played a lot. I never practiced. I would just play, and I would play and practice a part of a song until I got it. I never tried to continue to advance myself in any way outside of just what I needed to know for a song. So that was something that was sort of almost a little bit disappointing, a little bit looking back at it, that I should have, you know, come up with this a lot sooner, but I didn't. So I am now wanting to record my progress, because I have been playing for 7 or 8 years on the backside of my second time now. And this time around, I've gotten to know keys a bit more. The circle of fifths, triads, inside picking, outside picking, alternate finger picking, leccatos, the spider walk exercise. I'm going to be doing all of these things through this whole process now. And I'm going to be videoing it. I'm going to be taking videos every single day. I'm not going to be posting videos every single day. That's not the purpose of this. I will be posting, I'm hoping, once a week. And at the end of that week, you guys will get sort of like a condensed version of my my happenings through the week, as far as what progress I made, sort of where things led me to in my adventures of learning that particular song. And then sort of being able to just stretch my hands a little bit more, being able to play faster, more clarity in my notes, to be able to get more accuracy out of my hand. Basically, the whole key is just to get better in every aspect. And that's the reason why I've pointed out some things like the spider walk exercise. I will, if I can figure it out, bear with me, I will try to link the videos in which I had seen that kind of gave me inspiration for doing some of these exercises on this first video, just because I won't have any of the practices that I've done to this point, because this is my first video. This is sort of the introduction. I've been working, that's another thing I'm going to be showing you guys, is I've been working on this stuff for the better part of about a week and a half now. And I started with this because there are some happenings behind the scenes here. I started with this page right here because I had been talking to a couple of buddies and they're wanting to get something started again. This will be a new adventure for me for the first time in 20 years. Hooray, rock the fuck on. I'm excited. I finally feel confident enough in myself again to actually step out on stage. And I feel like I will be able to convey not only my personal emotion, but maybe the emotion of the song and sort of how the song makes me feel a little bit better this time around. Just because of the fact I feel like I've got more knowledge of the fretboard, I've got more knowledge within myself. I feel a little bit more in tune with my guitars. Like, I've spent a lot more time with my guitars over the last year. I think I've probably played the most I have played since high school. And that's kind of crazy because I just had a kid last November. That's my second, my son. And I've also got a daughter who's 4 now. That, the last year is the most I've played in the last, almost, 10, 15 years. And I've got 2 kids. I work 12-hour swing shifts. I've got a wife. I've got stuff I've got to do here at the house. I've got my other guitar projects I'm also working on because I'm constantly modding stuff. If I don't, or if I'm looking for a specific thing, I'll buy a certain color guitar or I'll buy a certain style guitar and I'll mod it myself to make it what I want. And you guys will be seeing some of that as well. You'll see some of my mod videos, some of my my maintenance videos as well. I'll post some of that on here. And that'll be part of the breakdown. And I mean, if you guys want to see some of that stuff as a standalone video, by all means, drop it down there in the comments and let me know. And I will start doing some of that stuff on my own as well. I'll start doing some of my mod videos. I'll do my gear rundowns as well if you guys want to hear that. Some of the stuff that I've got. And maybe some of the stuff I'm looking to get. Maybe, we could start doing sort of a wish list sort of thing for gear and stuff like that. But now I'm digressing. I'm sort of adding on to it. But then I had the bug put into my ear going back, starting with this list right here. of songs to learn. Whoops, it's upside down. Of songs to learn for an upcoming possible project, to talking to an individual within said project, Kevin Rich. If you haven't, check out Kevin Off Key. He is also on here. I will be linking his his YouTube page and in my bio as well. He's put the bug in my ear to just document everything, man. Just throw everything down. What's it gonna hurt? At least I'll have a platform in which I can go back and look at the progress, if anything. I mean, and that's sort of the cool thing. So then I was like, well, if I'm gonna do that, I've got songs that I want to learn. And when I want to learn a song, typically I just look it up and then I go and I learn it. And, that's that. I don't really put a whole lot of other thought into it. So with this, that first list then turned into, okay, well, who's, some of my top 25 artists, right? Let's sort of do a top 25 list. And that's where this list came in. Can you guys see that? Yeah. That's where this list came in. Now, that list has transformed into this list, which is then transformed into this list, which has even more markings on it, to then I've got a notebook I've had to start getting out. So as you guys can see, my mind has been hard at work at trying to come up with this. Now, obviously, I'm not doing this for you guys. That's not the point of what I'm trying to tell you about doing all of this. This isn't really for you. This is all for me. These are all my notes on stuff that I want to do for this. And the reason I want to do this stuff is, for one, to be able to go back and learn, like I had said. Two, to prove to myself that, yes, I can still improve. At the age of 36, going on 37, there is still a ton of room for improvement. And if you apply yourself at any point in time in your life, no matter what experience level you have, you'll be able to get better. And that's that's the main reason for doing this, is to prove to myself that I can play as well as I think I can. But not only that, I'm doing this because I want to be able to go back. Let's say I forget something. I have an opportunity to go back and now watch what I had learned before, and then I can reapply what I had learned before. Or maybe I had forgotten, maybe I want to go back to an old routine that I had done for the spider walk. So I want to go back and look, because I'd forgotten how I had done this one, because I feel like maybe I'm lacking in this area more now than in this area. So I need to go back and reapproach another part of my playing and practice a little bit harder on it again. And then to also be able to have some way to record and put the information somewhere, and then be able to continue to record day after day after day, to go back and look at my own playing every single day to see maybe where I can improve, see where maybe if I'm sliding in an area where maybe if I could pick up real quick and come back down, it's not going to be nearly as harsh to the ears. So, I mean, a lot of it's going to be just kind of playing around, and you guys will be exploring all this with me. That's kind of the cool thing is, as I'm learning and getting better, you guys are going to be hearing the difference in the videos as well. And I'm not on here to try to hide anything or try to hide my bad playing. That's never what I'm ever going to do. I feel like most likely what's going to wind up happening is, if anything, I'm going to put a worse version up here initially to show you where I had come from. That way you guys can see the progress that I had made, maybe in 2 to 3 days, or maybe over the span of the entire week, or something of that nature. Because there are going to be a couple of songs that I have that are going to be taking, upwards of 2 weeks to complete, due to various reasons. Whether it's, I'm learning bass now, so I'm having to learn finger picking style or a slap style, or, something to that effect. Or maybe I'm learning a different kind of picking style. Maybe I'm getting more in depth on the outside picking or the inside picking than I ever had before. Because that's also some of the things I've got added in for my practice routines, is to add in picking routines, whether it be inside, outside, alternate. Um, I mean, there's a ton of them out there if you guys want to go look. I'll be, linking a lot of stuff in the description. That way you guys can go take a look at them as well. Um, so that's another thing I'm going to be trying to do. It's just trying to document as much as possible. You guys won't see all of it. If you guys do want to see all of it, I'm sure I could probably figure out a way to put it in a time condensed video of some sort, to see all of my practice, all my warm-ups, stuff of that nature. That way you guys can kind of see for yourself the progress I am making. My plan through all of this is to at least practice 30 minutes a day on days that I work, whether it's days or nights, just because I do work 12 hours. It's hard to get home and then want to be able to practice for an hour and all that, and then be able to work on a song as well. When I still got to eat dinner, I got to spend time with the wife and kids, and I still got to sleep for the next day for work and get a shower and all that. And I don't get home till about 8:15, 8:30 at night. So it's hard for me to be able to sit down for an hour and run through my hand exercises as well as the songs. So if I'm going to do anything on a nightly basis, it's going to be running through my finger exercises. That way I can at least still be advancing, even though it may not be in a song, at least it's in technique, because to me, technique is far more important, especially at this point in my life, than it ever has been. I've always been one to practice harder than what you're going to ever play, because then you'll be ready for anything that comes at you. And that's what I plan on doing here as well. I plan on practicing way harder than what I'll probably ever play, just because I want to know that I've still got room left in the tank to go if I need to. You always need that extra 10%. I don't know why people always say, yeah, go 100%. Why? Why not go 95 and then just blast them away with the last 5? Seems legit to me. So that's sort of where we've gotten to with that. So let's see here. As far as the inspiration for what's coming to this, there are a couple of things. Watching Rick Beato, he was talking about El Estepario Siberiano, who I've loved watching his videos. There's a lot of videos of his I haven't gotten to watch, and I never had gotten to watch the story about him until roughly about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, for his 1,000,000 subscribers. And dude, that guy's story is heartbreaking, but it's also a story of absolute triumph and absolute freaking, overcoming, man. And it's inspired me because I've been in those same holes that he has. Maybe not necessarily the same exact ones where, I got fired from a band and that's all I knew. I'm not talking to that extent, but being some of those deep, dark holes that he's been down. I've been down those, and it's not a fun place. And, he was saying that the reason why he wanted to do these videos is because this is what he's done his entire life for 8 hours a day, is practice playing drums. And he felt like, at least before he expired or what have you, he wanted to at least put everything out there because that's all he's known. He didn't want to leave the world without anything. So he decided to do the video. Now, I'm not saying that's why I'm doing the video, because that is not why I'm doing the video, but his story is an inspiration because I'm from a very similar background as far as my depression and anxiety and stress and everything else. So he's a huge inspiration. Obviously, like I had mentioned before, Kevin Rich with Kevin Off Key. Thank you, my dude, for unleashing this beast. If I ever really would have done this without the guy kind of just putting the bug in my ear and pushing towards it. And he's also never been one to kind of shy away from hearing my ideas on what I kind of want to do with the channel as well. So that's been kind of cool, having somebody to bounce ideas off of, just not only in this sense, but also musically as well. The guy's, kind of driven me to want to be better. And me and him are kind of just driving each other back and forth right now. So it's kind of really fun to hear what each other's kind of coming up with to get better. And then obviously for my wife and kids, like I want them to be able to look at this and be like, hey, you know what? He was actually worth something at some point. Obviously I'm worth something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so the kids, they they like watching me play with my cousin whenever I take videos of me and him playing guitar. They love watching music. They love music in general. So I figured this is another way for them to be able to access music, learn something, and to also see dad and maybe help them mind during the day. Fingers crossed. Maybe. Doubt it, but one can hope, right? And then obviously, just proof to myself over all the doubters that have said something in my life about whether or not I could do one thing or another. This is sort of my to you, and all of you, not just one, but all of you, because there's been a lot of people that have doubted me, a lot of people that have just never wanted to see me succeed either. So this is another way for me to just, to you, thank you. Sort of what I'm gonna go into now is what I've got for ideas for continuing. So like this year, I've got my top 25 artists. I've got 1 or 2 songs from each artist. It's not a top 25 of my artists because there are some artists on here that are going to block. And I hope to never have to have that happen. And I hope if it does happen, it's going to be a very short one. And maybe I can, get around that and not have to worry about it so much is what I'm hoping. We shall see, but hopefully somebody will dig this enough to still want to allow me to play those. I'm not trying to make money off this. That's not my idea. This is literally just documentation for myself. If something comes of this, sure, why not? I'm not going to deny it, but this isn't my end all be all for what I want to do in life, making YouTube videos. I mean, it's cool. I think it's going to be a fun adventure to go down. And I've always got ideas kind of ticking around up here in my mind of what to kind of do over, even after this, like if I want to go past this, or if I feel like I need something else to kind of keep working. I can do like a top 40 remaining songs that I want to learn and do like a top 40. And I can roll that into the next year, and I can start that from week 1 at that point and have like a few more songs that are going to take 2 weeks to kind of get through because of complexity, because of speed, because of timing, because of picking. There's several different things that could take a song a little bit longer to be able to learn. So that's sort of another cool thing about it is if I do a top 40 remaining, and then I can go do another 40 songs, that I want to learn that I haven't learned yet, or that I need to tighten up. Doing gear reviews of my own, if I've got a piece of gear, if, I run across something that, maybe I don't necessarily want myself, but, somebody else might want it. I may do a quick little gear review on it or something like that. I've also got my rig rundowns, sort of what I'm running, where I'm running it at, stuff of that nature. And then, just continuing to grow musically. I also want to get a drum set. I think that would be fun. Excuse me. I've still, I've got a bass that I'm starting to pick up this year. We got that for the family over the Christmas. So that's going to be fun to get into. I've kind of dabbled around in bass. I've never owned one. I practiced bass for like a month one time because I thought maybe I might have to be thrown into a situation of covering for somebody. And I literally learned the bare basics. I learned what the chords were, and I basically just kind of rode the bass line. I wasn't really into trying to learn the whole bass lines or anything like that unless it really needed it. But the songs that I was learning at the time, they were very basic songs on bass. It was guitar driven wholeheartedly. So I didn't have to worry about, bass runs or slap bass or anything like that. I could just play with a pick hand and just ride the one finger up and down the fretboard to hit the bass note or the low octave, and that's all I needed. So that'll also be another thing that I'm doing. As I'm going through here, you'll also see me start throwing in some bass videos, maybe a little bit of slap bass practice or some finger picking practice with these two, and then going to all 3, and then maybe to all 4, something of that nature. And then I'm going to also be working with BPM. I've never worked with a metronome either. I forgot to point that out. So that's going to be something that I'm going to adventure into as well, is I've never really thought about going for a specific BPM or working to a metronome. to help get myself better. But the more that I'm getting into this and the more I'm talking to a lot of guys, my little brother especially, Kale, you are freaking awesome, my dude. Um, my little brother is way better than me at guitar and way better than I'll probably ever become at this point. But he's the guy that I've been going to for a lot of help on kind of getting ideas on how to improve in my playing, because he also gives private lessons as well. So I've got him to kind of fall back on to help as well if I need any sort of inspiration or any extra uh, exercises or what have you for my hands. I'll also be having special guests on here from time to time, whether it be doing song run throughs. Oh, there's my coffee. Whether it be song run throughs or just to have as an interview sort of thing, just to kind of um, get a different point of view on here. I'll be doing updates on here as far as like any bands that I may be getting into or projects that I've got coming up. And with those bands / projects, any news and updates that are coming from those. Any vacations we take, you guys will be taking the adventure too. My practice and video recording isn't going to stop there. You'll just get a prettier view than just my ugly mug, you know? So you guys will get to see mountain views, I'm sure, whenever we decide to take our trip out to the Smoky Mountains at some point. You guys will be able to see any trip that we take. So that'll be fun too, because I think we're planning on going to Memphis maybe once as well. So that'll be a fun night. Or a fun few nights, maybe St. Louis for a little bit as well. So we're going to be doing that. Again, special guests, special appearances on my part on another channel. I'll be throwing them on here, and I'll be linking that description, or I'll be putting that link in the description right down here, wherever it might be, somewhere down here. And so that'll be fun. So with that being said, what I did is I'd come up with this whole plan of what I wanted to do for my first music episode. And at some point during the day yesterday, I'd started to learn a song from this band. Now, this band has been around since roughly 2003. I think they had shows as early, as far as what I can see, all the way back to 2000-ish, 2001. But their first album was released in 2003. I actually got to see them on tour, on their first tour with Tantric and Three Doors Down on January 29th in 2004. And let me tell you guys, this band right here, this band has really just kind of reintroduced themselves into my life in a huge way. And I have a buddy of mine from work, Jimmy Graham. I have him to thank for these guys, because these guys, I had listened to their first 3 albums. Like, ridiculously, I listened to their first 3 albums. And I had gotten to the point where I had learned, I wanted to say, half of their first album on guitar. Most of their second album, I wanted to say, by the time their third album came out, I was already in the military and I was on the backside. I think I learned 2 songs off the third album of theirs. And the song I'm doing is off their second. And so, yeah, I'd like to introduce this band. Their first album released was Leave a Whisper in 2003. Their second album was Us and Them in 2005. And then their third album was Sound of Madness. Sound of Madness from 2008. Their first 2 albums, Leave a Whisper and Us and Them, they lived in my CD player in my car driving around in high school. And when we had open campus, like, that's literally all I'd listen to at lunch. I'd drive around, the school, I'd go to McDonald's, wherever to get lunch, and this album would be blaring in my car. I mean, these guys had such an impact on me in my later years in high school, and they blew the absolute top off the Show Me Center in January that year that I seen them. And the songs that really blew me away by them were 45, Burning Bright, and their cover of Simple Man. Uh, their their songs and the way they presented themselves on stage and the energy that they brought and what I got from them inspired me so much that I actually went and bought their album at the Show Me Center after the show. I didn't even wait to get to Walmart the next day. I bought it there at the show because of that song or because of these guys. And um, they do have one number one, and that is The Crow and the Butterfly. And they had 11 top tens, and the song that I'm going to be covering tonight was actually never released as a single. And this is probably my second or third favorite song by these guys in their entire catalog. And that song is Someday. It's the last song off of Us and Them. It was one of those songs that, as the album kind of fades off, like that's one of those songs that it just kind of hits you. And the way it ends, man, it just, to end the album like that, I thought was a perfect way to end the album because it's the perfect cliffhanger too. Like you always talk about the cliffhangers and stuff like that. And usually you get that from song to song, but by the end of the album, it's done, right? Not this album. I felt like Someday on this album really just left the open end there for Sound of Madness to kind of sneak its way through with Devour to start. And that was really the sort of the really cool thing that whenever they did come out with Devour, I started, I started that album with Someday. And I did that intentionally because I knew of how Someday ended. And I remembered that because I listened to that album so much. That's how much I listened to that album. I had remembered how long it had, or how it ended even 3 years after that. Whenever I went to buy Sound of Madness, I had to turn it on first just so I could hear what the beginning was going to be coming up on that one because I knew there was something they were going to do to tie the two together. And it was amazing. So I hope you guys enjoy.